I've said before I haven't been too impressed with Reform after they've gotten seats in Parliament. They seem to have softened their message in trying to become the Tories Mark II. There is one person, however, I have been quite impressed by in Reform, and that's Rupert Lowe.
And the young people are the ones who I think have got the worst deal out of all this. Because you've got the baby boomers who are all retiring, and we know the put and take pension scheme in this country is a fraud, because they're going to be funding all these pensions. They're also now funding all these immigrants. They're funding almost everything. They're being taxed into oblivion. They are at the bottom of the list when it comes to getting housing or getting any form of support. They pay their taxes. So I think those young people they've got a very raw deal. I feel for them because they're often very intelligent, but it's very difficult. The headwinds that they're facing in order to achieve success, unless they're exceptionally intelligent and they take advantage of AI or some other cutting-edge change that's taking place, it's very difficult for them to live the kind of life that we've all lived. And you've got these baby boomers now collecting their state pension.
Now, Lowe is bang on target to be speaking about this because, let's be honest, Reform generally appeals to an older demographic, boomers who would have historically voted Tory. However, young people are feeling more and more lost in the modern system, and the Tory message to them has been very, very poor. Grounded in an ideology of Thatcherism, older Conservatives have told young people what worked for them in the 80s as if it's going to work today, i.e. work hard, don't complain, pull your socks up, be an individualist. Now, that advice was questionable in the 80s, but you can make an argument that it was like rocket fuel for the British economy and worked largely because we were a homogenous nation. However, in an era of mass immigration, it's not the same story. Today, young people have to compete with a globalized market for a basic role. Speaking personally, I have a degree, an MA, and I still had to start from the bottom to work my way up. And today, it's even harder for young people to get started, given more jobs are even more oversubscribed. However, there are bigger issues at play here as well. Young people have been implicitly told in the UK that their country has no favour for them over Ahmed from Pakistan or Fernando from Brazil. Of course, that tells them a message that they don't matter. And if you view a country as like a family, which many of us do, it's like a father telling his child that he really doesn't care about him over some random kid in India or China. It also implicitly tells him that he has no value to the UK, to his people, to his historic homeland. His only value in this world is what economic value he can produce for the globalist system. If we're to continue the family analogy, the left would be the mother. Gone is the natural compassion for the children of yesteryear. It's been replaced by a compassion for everybody else from every other corner of the earth. Celebrating diversity in all its forms is a way to undermine the supposed natural evil of the family, the natural oppression it causes. Yet in a bizarre twist, the Thatcherite father and the proto-woke mother have created a sort of Frankenstein in their daughter, which is the modern young woman, obsessed with her liberation from supposed oppression, obsessed with her empowerment to earn more than young men, to be better than young men, to replace young men. We're now seeing the results of a system that's geared more towards the development of young women than young men. Girls are outperforming boys at every single level of education now, and young women's incomes have overtaken men's in 21 to 26-year-olds. But that's just good news to the modern system, because we're being progressive and seeing women power on forward, so progressive that we're going to breed ourselves out of existence. That's because women are choosing job roles and careers over families, and they don't tend to be as attracted to men who don't earn as much money as them. It's this cultural zeitgeist that's led to the Tory obsession with the largely unimpressive Kemi Badenoch. Their belief is she's a strong, confident young black woman who can show us toxic white males how to rule in the boardroom and in the culture. I'm sure that's going to inspire young men. Of course, all of this tells young men just once again that the system does not care about them. After all, Rishi Sunak has just been entering in record levels of mass immigration before he jets off to his California home so he can get out of the way of the mess of modern Britain. So it seems that Britain is on a road to ruin, to essentially becoming a soulless, heartless economic zone for the globalist elite. It won't matter if you've been here 1,000 years in your family tree or if you've been here barely 1,000 days. As long as you can be plugged into the system and used as a battery, that's all you're good for. Now, if there are any young men listening to this, I would say do not fear, do not get angry, and do not fret, dear friend. Because we have an ace card up our sleeve, and that is a heart and a soul. Modern day materialist modernity with its conveniences and its pleasures renders such core elements as life as unimportant as airy-fairy. Remember, your core role in life is your economic value that you can produce. But in reality, this isn't true at all. If you look at the foundations of our civilization, of what made Britain and Europe great, it's not working for a soulless corporation for decades of your life, a corporation that doesn't care if you live or die. Of course, personal responsibility and hard work, those classic Tory values, are important, but only if they're buried within the right contextual system that serves a collective rather than the individual. The latter path always leads to a road of ruin. But the continuing corrosive influence of globalist modernity will lead to a reawakening in what really sustains a civilization. That is beauty, social order, a noble duty to the collective whole, real meaning in one's own role in the world, a sense of transcendence, of working towards something bigger than yourself. This is the culture that we've been dispossessed of, and this is what we can re-inherit as we see globalist modernity start to fall apart around us. To my mind, this is the only way the West will meaningfully survive, and it starts by giving young men a sense of hope. After all, they are the civilization builders, and they need to know that they matter and their future matters. More of this in 2025 and in the exclusive area, of course. That will be revealed very soon, in only a week. In the meantime, do have a Merry Christmas and do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new.